Joining us now, she's a good friend of the show, entering, is this right, 10th season now at Liberty, going on
Can you
10th
believe
season?
that? Oh my
Holy, I feel
gosh.
like only yesterday you were like sitting next to me up in Claremont calling a game together there. I mean, it's folks. Of course, I'm speaking of Liberty head coach Dot Richardson. You know the credentials, folks. Olympian, gold medalist, one of the greats of all time as a player. Now one of the best coaches out in the country, leading Liberty fresh off another conference championship and NCAA tournament. Coach, how you doing?
Very blessed, Eric. It's always great to be with you. I remember those days in the booth together. It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's why, but I'm just kind of blown away. This is your 10th season approaching now at Liberty.
I cannot believe it. I said it the other day. I'm like, oh man, I got made double digits so far. So, but I tell you, when you love what you're doing, time flies.
How do you feel you've changed since becoming a head coach? Because, I remember when you got, you just decided to get into coaching and you got hired, people are like, "Ooh, is this going to work out?" We didn't, but obviously it has. But how do you feel you've changed over the time?
Well, without a doubt, I've grown closer to the Lord. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior here at one of the largest Christian universities in the world. And you know the whole story, how I thought I'd be in politics, right? And gave it to the Lord in prayer. And the next day, here we go. Liberty calls me to ask me to be the head softball coach. And my husband was like, let's do this. It's a God thing. So without a doubt, I've grown closer to the Lord. And to be upfront, when COVID hit, I just felt the Holy Spirit saying, you need to learn more about prophecy in the Bible and end times, the book of Revelation. And as a result, I'm free here at Liberty to be able to talk about, the eternal soul, what's going to be happening. And so with a lot of our players, been doing a Bible study with them, and that's been so fulfilling. And I think that's been some true victories, what's happening, in that regards of getting our players closer to the Lord and trusting him and not living in the world so much and worrying about what the world thinks. And I think the results are also been seen on the field as well because of it.
I want to mention this is the success of the program over during this time. When was the turning point with the program where you felt like, all right, we're in the right direction? Because there was some, obviously there's, when you take over a program, there's just, you have to build it first. When was that turning point where you felt like, okay, yeah, I'm right where I need to be, but now we're in the right direction. We're going to have a lot of success.
When we won the NISC, when we became the national champions of the first ever opportunity for the NSIC, that to me was it, because it's kind of like, you guys, the NIT of basketball. So we weren't in that top rank to get postseason, even though we had won the Big South championship at the time. But we got into this huge tournament, right? The NISC, that was a national championship, and we won it. And I think once when that happened, the girls knew they could win beyond a conference, and also the program and recognition that came from it. So that was a big turning point for our program.
You mentioned the Big South. You were in the Big South. You came over to the A-Sun. This will be the last year in the A-Sun going to Conference USA. So nothing new as far as, getting ready to transition to a league. But I remember you told me that the key there is you don't really focus as much on the conference. You focus more on what the program brings. I would assume that's going to be the same philosophy as you're about to make the next transition.
Yeah, I don't know what the future holds. I see all this realignment going on, but right now we know we have this season coming up in the A-Sun. And then we join one of the group fives, the group of five, when Conference USA, a lot of teams were picked out of there to go to, the Big 12. And so that opened up the door for us to have the opportunity to get in there. But what I look at is, how do we get the strongest schedule possible? Why? Because it's really not how you start, right? It's how we finish. And when you look at that, our players, they're not intimidated by a name of a school, not about their football program, not about their softball program. It's really about competing and us being able to learn to compete at our highest level. So because of that, we play them all. I mean, I'm looking at our schedule right now, and Eric, I'm telling you, for our 2023 season, we've got Oklahoma. We're leading off with them at their tournament in Southern California. And we'll be playing Duke and Washington, Stanford, San Jose State. Then we're going to go to UCLA. We'll play UCLA. Then we go down to Puerto Vallarta and we play Ole Miss in Kansas and Tennessee. And we play Fullerton, a very strong program. Then we have 3 home tournaments featuring Maryland and some other really good programs. Then we were going to play Kentucky. We've got Clemson coming to play us. We're going to play Alabama. We're playing Virginia Tech, who was in Supers last year, as hopefully everyone knows. We also played the University of Virginia. We go down and play Duke again and UNC. So, you know, for us, it's not just about playing them. It's to show where we are competitively, and ultimately to be the best, you got to beat the best, and we have to prove that we're better, right?
No doubt. And I thought last year was a great example of that, because I remember talking to you after the first couple of weeks, because you were in Florida. You started the season in Florida. You played UCF, and you got off to a bit of a rough start. And some of your players got off to a rough starts. And
Yeah.
I remember you and I had a long talk about that, and you talked about some of the things you have to get better and work on, but you never lost the belief that it would turn around. Which it was, I thought it was one of your best coaching jobs, because you did turn it around and won the conference title. How do you stay patient? And probably your playing career experience probably helps in that, where a player struggles early,
Yeah.
but you don't lose patience in them. You still keep that trust and kind of get that belief in them that, hey, it's going to turn around.
Yeah, we did get a rough start, but you have to, as a coach, you got to look beyond, did we play to our full potential? Did we even play to half of our potential? We look at the Iowa game that we started off and lost, but it was with our number 1 pitcher. And she was nowhere near where she's going to be at the end of the season. Why? She had taken for her education degree, she had to take a student teaching job, right? So student teachers, they can't be with us in the entire fall. So I knew that Kirby would be able to turn it around, which she did. I looked at her game against Notre Dame. I looked at a game against Missouri. You know, we were right there having them, but yet we had a very young program. And I knew if we were to face them again, that the tides could turn. But the big moment was against UCF. When we played UCF, and we didn't get the bats rolling, but we lost a very close game and a very high-ranked team. We had an error, ball back to our pitcher. She overthrew second base for a double play, cost us, 2 runs. So it should have been a 1-0 game. But with the errors, end up 3-0. So that hit me to say, okay, how do I get the offensive production I need? And we had to sacrifice defense. So I right then and there with my staff, I said, this is the lineup I want. My coach Fagan with my defensive, unit coach was like, coach, no. And I'm like, yes. And I said, I will take full responsibility for every single error that's going to happen. But this is a lineup that's going to bring us more wins. And that's what happened. But Eric, it was a lot more than that too. We had a freshman at third base, a freshman at second, a freshman at third. We had a freshman in right field. We had a center fielder, never played center field before. And we had, some very young, experience still with all of that involved. But what I did see too, that was the second switch of the lineup, was the energy. You can have the best offense, best defense, but if you don't have that championship mindset or that selflessness, right? Where, I got that from 2 freshmen on the corner. They weren't so stuck into, oh my gosh, how am I performing? They were more like, all right, I'm on the field. Here's the energy. Let's do this together. And that was exactly what we needed. And I think that brought the team together, and it challenged the seniors who were replaced, right? Of what they needed to do. So anyway, it's, you think you have it all figured out by the end of the fall, but the reality is you got to get into the fire, no pun intended, as the Liberty Flames, right?
Right.
But you got to dive in, and we did, and it cost us some losses, but the reality is, we're still top 30. I know what we need, and I believe with the recruiting classes that I have coming in, it's going to be a lot of fun. And this year we have some major contributors from transfer portal that, Eric, I didn't go after them. I didn't seek after them to a point of I'm just going to live on the transfer portal, but I believe the Lord brought them to us, and very excited about that. So keep your eyes on Liberty softball. It's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Well, I do, and that's a great memory of the UCF game there. I called that game, and you got more details than I did remember that game there, but it was a really good game.
Well, we knew that they were very talented, right? I mean, They had a lot of speed, really good up the middle,
Yeah.
good defense. Um, and you just got to up your game when you're playing. And I'm trying to teach our kids you should always play up, no matter what the competition skill is.
Well, you have enacted scheduling well, because that UCF team ended up going to the Super Regionals, hosting a region. I only bring that up because you used to cover them uh, as media, and obviously that's from your hometown, basically your backyard there. What was that like to see that program grow as somebody who covered it back for a long time? As we joked. I mean, we met literally because UCF would play in your tournament many years in Claremont.
It was fantastic and well deserved. I mean, Coach Cindy Ball is doing a great job, and I think as one of the largest universities in the country, when my nephew graduated from there, J.R. Rozier,
Right.
JR was all about our football program is not getting the respect it deserves and we go undefeated. I mean, I hear all of that, right? And I agree, there is some bias a lot of times. So when you get those breakthrough moments like softball did and football, obviously getting picked up with the Big 12, and the whole athletic department, I think that it's just great to see for any program. That's what I want to see with Liberty. I see that's where we're moving. Just hope that, those things happen. It's God's will. I think a lot of our sports are doing an amazing job. Field hockey, as you know, almost won a national championship.
Yep.
They were runners up. Lacrosse is strong, men's basketball, football, all of us deserve, a lot of recognition in that regards. But getting back to UCF, it was, you could see the talent there. And that's what you want. You want every team to play their best and you to bring your best. And for that day, let's see who's better. This year we'll be playing, like I said, Alabama and Kentucky and all of those. But Eric, did you see who we played in regionals last year? It was Duke, right?
Yeah.
I scheduled Duke. We played them here. We beat them. And so here we go to regionals, and I'm excited because we're at Duke and we beat Georgia, and we play Duke and we lose. Are you kidding me? And come back again and late at night end up losing to Georgia. So it's right there in the making. So it's a matter of just, couple more athletes and the break's got to go your way postseason.
I remember that regional. That was up late night when you were playing Georgia. And that's a stacked regional, by the way. I mean, they just like to put you in stacked regionals. Tennessee the year before, where you have to play a team that ends up going to OKC, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to send you to Durham.
Yeah, but I tell you, that's postseason. That's what's exciting, right?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this year. You mentioned you lose some pieces of the team, Lou Allen, for example, and, Kirby, but you return. You mentioned the new faces, some of the transfers. Let's talk about this year's team. Let's first talk about the new faces and what you think they'll do to contribute to this team.
Well, you got to start in the circle, not a new face, but if you look at Carly Keeney, unbelievable talent. The kid right now is firing harder and the ball moving more than ever, and she's so fired up. We got a nice transfer in the circle from Florida Gulf Coast. For 1 year, we'll have Emily Estroff, and that kid just with a rise ball, change up, curve, looking so good. We have expecting big things out of the couple other pitchers that we have is Naomi Jones. She has every single pitch that's there, and it's just a matter of getting her that time in the circle. And then I've always thought a franchise opportunity could be in our big girl, 6'2" pitcher, Paige Bachman. And we're working with the lefty right now, has a little ways to go, but she's one of the hardest workers in the circle when you look at Haley Dieter. Now, some of the other transfers, I mentioned Emily Estroff from Florida Gulf Coast, but we have an amazing outfielder, Kaylin, we call her KK Madre, and that kid from LSU is just, man, she's a whole package. She's got the speed, offensively, just, on the bases, it's going to be awesome. We've had so much fun this fall with it. And then we got Savannah, when you look at, Savannah Woodard from Alabama. I remember when we played Alabama a couple years ago, she was playing second base, and she's with us now. And this kid she's got range. She has got range. And offensively, she's doing what she needs to do. I also look at, we've got Megan Fortner from Jacksonville State. I'd actually recruited her years ago, and she went to Florida, Jacksonville State, and now she's with us. Another one that I recruited before when she was probably 8th, 9th grader was Sierra. So Sierra is coming from Michigan, and I'm just super, it's Sierra Kirsten, and she, a lefty power hitter. She played second outfield for Michigan. So, I mean, those are some great additions. Then we have our freshmen, Savannah Jesse and Madison Tuck, and a hitter that, oh my gosh, you are going to love, Bryn McManus. This kid's got power. Man, she's like a lumberjack and strength and rips the ball. I mean, you can hear the ball screaming when she hits it. And then we have our returners, which is really exciting to see. Reagan Barrett's really gotten a lot stronger, so she'll be in the middle. And then our senior that we have this year, Devin Howard has always been a gamer. And this is her COVID fifth year. And then the other, right now we're waiting to see Huddy, Caroline Hudson, probably the number one catcher in the country. She had rotator cuff surgery, and so she's on the rehab right now, but looking forward to getting her back in February or March this year. And that kid had a lot of production, home run production, led us,
Did you see that in her? Did you see that in her? I mean, to win, she would end up winning ASUN Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Like, she blossomed for you as last year went on.
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with the contributing part of it by Coach Sammy Fagan. Like, Coach Sammy loves offense, and she was able to connect with Caroline. We call her Huddy, Caroline Hudson. She was able to connect with her in such a way. She never gave up on that pursuit. We all knew that Caroline has it. She has it. And then she started believing it. And when she started believing it, there was no stopping her. You guys, this kid is unbelievable and sought after all over the country. Same with, as I mentioned, Carly Keeney. All these kids that are with us, a majority of them can play anywhere in the country. And why did they choose us? Because Liberty University has a different culture. It's all about training champions for Christ. We have the highest level, of our competition, and they're fitting the needs that they want for their experience in college. And we're blessed to be able to give it to them.
You mentioned Kirby. She was won the second straight year Pitcher of the Year. She's now a volunteer coach on your staff. You got Carly Keeney returning. Let's first talk about your pitching staff, and then we'll talk about your coaching staff. How do you feel about your pitching staff this year?
I tell you, really excited about it because they're pitching with a lot more freedom right now. We're seeing a lot more speed, production, movement. Coach Fagan is doing an awesome job. I'm just really excited, but they need game experience, and Carly Keeney comes in with it. I think that Emily Estroff from Florida Gulf Coast, as mentioned before, comes with that experience. She's in her COVID fifth year, so she's with us. But the rest of them, the other three, are very young. But I'm excited about what's going on because I think Carly is putting a lot on her shoulders, but she loves that. And it's upped her game. I mean, that kid is she's firing anywhere from 68 to 70. The ball's moving. She looks really good. And I think Coach Fagan and Coach Kirby are really working well together for the pitching staff. And they're getting the responses they need. Paige Bachman is the dark horse, 6'2". She was struggling last year getting the speed up, but right now she's hitting 66, 67, and it could be a lot of fun. We'll see. But Eric, it's always strange when I talk about the team because talk is cheap, right? We got to prove it. We got to show it. And I'm excited for the country to see it. Again, I have to mention Miami. When you look at KC, Cassandra Machado, she's really hitting the ball well too. I can pick a lot of these kids up and say, you know what, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I could tell that in your voice. Let's talk about your staff. You've mentioned Casey Fagan. You mentioned Sammy Fagan. Added his staff after a change after Cassidy went on to Texas Tech. Just talk about your staff and how do you evaluate someone? Because you pick out certain people and see how they fit on your staff. I'm curious on that process.
Well, first and foremost is a love for the Lord, right? And then when you look at both Casey and Sammy Fagan, they both are accomplished athletes in their own right, and even student athletes. When you look at Casey Fagan, like Casey, Gatorade Player of the Year coming out of high school, right? She's had the experience that she had in Florida. She had the experience she had in Arkansas, and then with her master's in Auburn and her passion is to be able to teach and instruct. And she believes, like me, let's do something that very few people have been able to do before. And that's take a team that's not in the Power Five, right? And bring them up to the World Series and hopefully championship level. The other is when you look at Sammy, Sammy Fagan. I worried at first just being sisters. So obviously I talked to Casey as the oldest and said, what do you think? She was, well, if we were younger, maybe not, but right now as we're older, it works out great. So Sammy brings the experience of what she got at Florida, good and bad, and what she took from Missouri, and then getting her master's at Virginia Tech. And she plays professional in Japan as well as here in the United States. Her passion is offense. Coach Fagan's passion is defense and pitching. Kirby, I had to start thinking about, I know her love for the Lord, all three of them. But I also said, okay, is she too close in age? But the reality is that she was a COVID fifth year last year, kind of felt on an island a little bit, as I mentioned, because of her class that she took, her student teaching to get her degree in education. So it really was a perfect choice because she's able to relate to them in a great way, but has a mentor also with, Casey Fagan, Coach Fagan. So, and everyone gets along. I mean, there's this sense of just, just a freedom and just an enjoyment, but yet a competitiveness. We know how to win. We've been there, and we get that program to that pursuit of excellence. Then there's no turning back. And I think you see that we're doing it the right way.
You're going to open the season in Puerto Vallarta. You mentioned, part of that challenging gauntlet schedule you've built there. So I'm curious, as between now and then the start of the season, what's going to be the keys for your team, this particular team, to accomplish their internal goals?
Well, the history has been we start off pretty slow the first week. Maybe that's every team. Because when you start scrimmaging or you play 8 fall games, it's not the same. But we've got to start strong out of the gate because we're playing the 2-time defending national champions in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to be playing in a big crowd in Southern California at the Bill Barber Stadium. So excited about that. And then, as I mentioned, we'll be playing Duke for the first time this year, even though we'll play them again. But then we've got, we're playing Washington.
Oh, by the way.
And then we're going to be playing San Jose State, and then we're going to be playing Stanford. And then we're going to drive up the road a little bit for about an hour and play UCLA on Tuesday at their place. Then on Wednesday, we'll fly down to Puerto Vallarta, and there we're going to start off with Ole Miss. We're going to play Kansas, and then we're going to play Tennessee. And then the last team we'll play is Fullerton on that Sunday before we head back and play our 3 home series at our place. And then we'll start off with our spring break. We'll be playing Kentucky before we play Eastern Kentucky for our first ASUN series. And what's going to be interesting, Eric, is we're actually going to go to Marshall to play Alabama. So Alabama's plans
That's right.
are to be close to Montana Fouts' home, and that's in Marshall.
Wow.
So when I heard from Marshall about, hey, we got an opportunity to play Alabama, I said, we'll drive 4 hours up to play them. So we're excited about that. But the biggest thing really is to play great competition, right? And that's when you really see who's going to be ready for postseason. And so we're excited about it.
I'm still blown away by that schedule. You're right. California, Oklahoma, UCLA. When you play UCLA, is it unique? Is it special to go back when you play them?
Without a doubt. It's always been my benchmark, right? Every time we played them, the first time we played UCLA, they started their 4th string pitcher and had to bring in their 3rd string pitcher. And we lost by 1 run, right? Next time we played them, they started their 3rd string, put in their 2nd at the end, we lost by 1. Then the next time we played them, they pretty much blew us out. And then the next time we played them, they ended up having to start their number 2 and bring in Garcia. So I look at that as, okay, we're getting there. Obviously, as a Bruin myself, graduating from there, I look forward to the challenge of playing them every time. But all these teams are challenges, but that's what competition is about at the Division I level, right?
No doubt about that. Incredible level. And then, of course, Kelly Anue Perez, the job she just got inducted to the UCLA Hall of Fame, a place very well. Well deserved by her and part of that Bruin bubble.
Well deserved.
That's incredible. Coach, always a pleasure to catch up with you as we get set for this upcoming season. Always excited to see your team play. Congrats on the success you've had. I'm so proud of you. Like I said, with 10th season in coaching, and you've been incredible. So I've been cheerleading from afar. But thanks for always taking the time to talk to us. I know it's always a busy time. Like you showed us earlier before we even started talking about all the facility development around you.
Well, what a blessing it is that the hammering and everything slowed down a little bit for us to talk. But you guys, we have an extension of our offices and batting cages coming in. So we'll have an additional 5 batting cages, bringing us to 7. We'll have a huge 2,000 square foot team activity room, 2 more offices as I have a full-time director of ops and full-time player development. We've got a film room that's a part of it, a brand new scoreboard that we're getting, just so blessed. And just Liberty University, just very blessed. The athletic program, what Hugh Freeze is doing with football, and Richie McKay with basketball, and Coach Green, and with women's basketball, and Nikki over with field hockey. And I mean, we can go on and on with our lacrosse, and just blessed to be a part of it. And our goal is just to continue to give God the glory with it all.
Continued growth and a continued excitement around the program. Always exciting. Coach, thanks for sharing that and sharing the info there. It's always great to talk to you. We'll be in touch, but in the meantime, you take care, and we'll talk soon.
You too, Eric. God bless you and everyone listening.